What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for the future based off the CPI report that came out, and also what the data is saying about Tesla, and also some big updates about Elon Musk. Now, before I break down how all these factors may affect Tesla, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. Not only benefits me, but benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is, any could be a free Tesla share. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends in just 1 week. Check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at Tesla, this thing was up about 7.39% for the day. Let's go. And the market did see a crazy move to the upside. I'm sure a lot of people made money on calls, people who were trading today. And the SPY was crazy, especially. That thing was a monster, and this did help Tesla. The whole market did end up pumping. And the thing about this, though, is we have to talk about CPI first. Why on earth did the market pump the way it did? Well, CPI came out. And if you don't know what this is, I made a video about this yesterday. CPI is the consumer price index. It's one of the most accepted inflationary measures by investors and entrepreneurs and people all over the world. And what's interesting about it is the expectations were a 7.9% CPI report and a 6.5% core CPI report, which is CPI without food and energy. It ended up coming out at 7.7% for CPI, which was actually lower than expected. And then core CPI was 6.3%, lower than expected as well. And we can see this nice downtrend right here, which is an indication that the economy is slowing down. There have been a lot of reports about how Meta and big tech companies are now starting to fire people. I know it's very hard. They're not necessarily firing them. It's more like they're laying them off. But you understand my point. Like, it's becoming harder on this economy, and I really believe that there is going to be more pain to come, unfortunately. But the good thing is the pain is necessary to bring down inflation. If inflation is trying to downtrend the way it is, there's a good chance that the Fed is going to get ready to pivot sooner than anticipated, because the Fed knows that they're not as worried about becoming a little bit too aggressive on policy, because it's easier to actually fight something like deflation than inflation. Because if we end up reaching a point of deflation, like something that Elon Musk and Kathy Wood did talk about, the Fed could easily offset that by printing more money and doing what they have to do. However, as of right now, in order for us to confirm that inflation is truly coming down, we need to see this continue to trend to the downside, especially when the next report comes out. As of right now, we're on a good track. I hope this continues, and this is why the market was very happy. The Fed is likely going to pivot sooner than anticipated. They may not be as aggressive because of this, especially after the next CPI report, if it's even better than expected. Looking at some more specific details for October, food was only up about 0.6%. Food at home was also a little bit up, but most things were actually starting to come down a bit. This is unlike many other commodities. We can actually see that we had a big increase in fuel, and we did see gas prices going up. But other things like electricity, other utilities were not as crazy high as they were from before. And once again, if you look at utilities, also some commodities, things were starting to come down. Shelter also did decrease a bit, so that's another good sign. So overall, we are starting to see some big metrics out there starting to come down, and that is causing the overall numbers to come down too. Now, is CPI perfect? The answer is no. These numbers tend to be manipulated, but at the end of the day, there is massive truth behind them, at least at the end of the day. And to me, it's a very good sign that this is happening, and that does make me more hopeful for the market to continue to pump. What else I mentioned in my earlier videos from, like, I think I mentioned this on Sunday and Monday, the put to call ratio on SPY. Do you guys notice how this was like 3.72 for Friday, which means everyone, the large majority of investors, were loaded into the puts. Retail were, institutions were, and the market makers did not want to pay off these premiums. So what they did is they allowed the market to pump even harder than anticipated, which is causing more people to close their puts. When institutions close their puts, their short positions, what do? they hedge by buying the shares, and this is what caused the market to pump to the upside. There's also short covering, there's also lots of buying pressure. There are all these different factors that really caused this to pump. What's interesting about Tesla is the put to call ratio has always been, in favor of the call side. It's been like this for a while. I noticed that. It's very interesting to see. And most people who are holding these calls are actually making bank on them, especially on days like this. And maybe if they bought these calls a very long time ago, they could be down on them still. But if people bought them like recently, congratulations, you probably made a big gain if you got them right. Now, Tesla had very nice volume. The volume is 132 million. That's a good sign for a stock like this. And also, the short volume percentage went up a little bit. I do anticipate this to come down a bit as shorts are covering and the bulls are gaining control over the stock, but we need more confirmation for tomorrow. So when it comes to Tesla, I also noticed some other important trend. And that's the fact that Tesla's PE ratio did start to come down a bit, especially after the price was dropping, but I don't see this as a very, very big trend that's going to continue for much longer because the price price ratios are already like very, very low, and when it goes to these very low levels, it tends to actually get a bounce a little bit later. And today is just one of the examples where Tesla was getting ready to outperform the market. And the bullish buyers out there are still bullish. Fridays tend to be actually kind of flat days. We're only green about 48% of the time, but I do believe tomorrow is going to be an exception because tomorrow is going to be a federal national holiday. I think it's Veterans Day. And because of that, even if the market's open, there may not be as much volume. So I don't expect tomorrow to be as bullish as today it was for the markets. But I still believe there is the continuation potential. Now, what else I noticed about Tesla was look at the short interest. This thing was coming up, which means the shorts were piling in. They were trying to bring this thing down and they got trapped. The bulls came in and they managed to cause a big reversal. Now, when it comes to Tesla, if the market pumps, this thing is most likely going to pump, but there is an external factor we have to account for, and that's Elon Musk. All right, you guys have to pay attention to this. As of right now, at the time I'm recording this video, there's no confirmation that Musk is done selling those shares. And if he keeps selling them, this could bring Tesla down a bit. But what's good about Tesla is if the market holds up and more buyers are still coming in, that could offset it by some degree. So I'm hoping that Musk does kind of like finish up on this whole selling. He did mention that he sold a lot of these shares to actually help save Twitter. That's completely understandable in my opinion, but I'm hoping that he just finishes off with that and then we start to see a big reaction. I also want to note that when Musk is done selling these Tesla shares, all right, when the announcement comes out, the share price is going to explode to the upside and Tesla's going to make a very big move. But anyways, just wanted to give you guys another confirmation of this. The main reason why he's selling these shares, according to some finance filing reports, is it's going to be partly to actually finance his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter, which actually still may require some more funds. And on top of that, there are other expenditures that are going to be needed. Musk's total ownership in Tesla is about like a little bit under 19.7% as of right now. And that's actually a decline compared to 22.4%. So that is still something that could cause Tesla to come down a bit. But like I mentioned earlier, there is some buying pressure coming in that's going to offset this potential downside catalyst. And I do hope that Musk finishes very, very soon. Now, I don't want to talk as much about Elon Musk. I know there's so much controversy about what he's been saying. And honestly, guys, it's really his own choice. He does have freedom of speech. Different people have different opinions on what he's doing. In my opinion, I still respect him for everything he has done for this company like Tesla, for SpaceX, and also for Twitter. So I don't necessarily think it's necessary to really be too bashful. But at the same time, I mean, there are questionable decisions he has made and said. I completely understand that, guys. And I honestly would prefer if some things are kind of like kept quiet, but hey, it's okay because I still respect him and I'm still very bullish on Tesla nonetheless. And I still owe him lots of credit for everything he has done for this company. But anyways, guys, enough about Elon Musk. Let's talk about Tesla's share price. So before we talk about Tesla, let's look at SPY and let's talk about how this could affect Tesla. On the daily chart on SPY, you have to remember SPY has been respecting this descending broadening wedge. And we have a tendency of touching the top upper trend line, then the bottom, the top back and forth like crazy. What's happening right now is I believe that because CPI was bullish, the overall candle for today is pretty bullish. You could argue we're kind of overbought, which is why tomorrow could see some like kind of sideways action. It would be completely normal. In fact, I want to see us pull back a little bit to kind of confirm that we're bullish. Somewhat of a cool off for the RSIs is completely fine. However, However, we have this big gap on SPY at about 406. We also have this upper trend line, which is going to be around like 410 if it takes us a couple of days, maybe a little lower depending on how long it takes us to get to this. But overall, guys, it looks more bullish, and I do believe that SPY is going to break past 400 very, very soon. Hopefully by next week. It could even happen tomorrow, but like I said, I'd be surprised if that happened after such a very bullish day today, but it's very possible. So SPY still looks bullish. On Google, this thing is looking pretty good. We do have a gap up here around 103, but before we get there, we have 96 is going to be a very, very key resistance level. It could slow us down. If you look at the VIX, this thing did something a little bit unexpected. I was thinking this thing was about to bounce, and I was very uncertain about how CPI would come out. Instead, this thing came tumbling down, and we actually retested this key support zone around the 22.64 level. I mentioned this in one of my earlier videos. Now, what's interesting about the VIX is we have a gap down here, all the way down here around the 20s, right? I do believe the VIX could actually fill the gap very soon, which is a bullish signal for the markets. On top of that, looking at Apple, for instance, is showing some nice strength, but I'd be very careful. It has a gap right here. If we can continue breaking past resistance, this thing has the ability to hit about 150 relatively soon. Finally, I wanted to look at the QQQ. This also pumped up very hard. We have a massive gap right here. We are entering a very key resistance zone, and that's around this 284 to 285 zone around here. This has been a supply zone for the QQQ, so I do believe we're going to retest this. We could break past it if we're bullish enough, but we have to be very careful right here. So we are hitting some very, very key resistance on the NASDAQ, so this could actually slow us down a little bit tomorrow, which is why I don't expect tomorrow to be as bullish. And that in turn may slow Tesla down just a little bit when it comes to this move. Now, Tesla is also affected by Elon Musk. So if the news comes out, whether it's tomorrow or next week or over the weekend, and Musk is done selling Tesla shares, this thing, like I said, is going to rocket to the absolute moon. It's going to fly past 200, in my opinion. I would turn very bullish on that news. However, it's not confirmed yet. So, what's the next zone to watch for? Well, Tesla showed some nice strength. We have resistance around this 191 zone around here. I do believe that Tesla is going to retest it very soon. We also had a previous demand zone between 190 and 193, so these are going to be some resistance levels in the future. But if Tesla gets a clean break, in my opinion, above 193, this thing is likely going to fly and fill the gap right here to about this 197 zone. It's pretty close to 197. I could see Tesla fly that high if we break and hold above 193. Now, a more bearish possibility, just so you guys have at least something to go off of on both sides, would be if Tesla comes down and we break below 185, right? That's going to be a very bearish signal. It's very possible this thing is going to come tumbling down. There's not as much action right here in this zone. We're going to come tumbling down to about 180 if we break below 185. So just be prepared for that, guys. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I just want you guys to be prepared. What I think is most likely going to happen to Tesla, however, is I think we're most likely going to get a nice move to the upside again. That's what I'm hoping for. There's going to be strong resistance here. If we break past it, we do have the potential to fill the gap around that 197 area. And I do believe Tesla could actually do it. Now, if the market comes down, and the market kind of trades sideways. Tesla does have a tendency, at least today, it had a tendency of trading sideways between 185 and 190. So watch this zone very carefully. We could bounce back and forth between these zones. But I do believe the market could still see a small pump tomorrow. And if we get it, Tesla could break past 193 and maybe go for the gap fill if we are that bullish. So, like I said, guys, I am more likely or like more inclined to tell you that Tesla looks more bullish than bearish, but I am still prepared for anything given the fact that Musk could sell more shares, and I'm still very cautious because of that. But overall, guys, I'm more bullish than bearish. I think Tesla's more likely to break and hold above 193 tomorrow, hopefully. But like I said, be prepared for anything because of Elon Musk. Thank you all so much for listening. Be ready for tomorrow. It's going to be another interesting day for the markets. Remain calm, cool, and collected, and I will see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.